I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm on a cruise, whether as a crew or passenger, I always see how other guests and sometimes even myself get tempted into doing as much as possible, even if it doesn't seem logical or feasible at the time. And I must say, there are certainly some things you should definitely avoid doing again and again to save yourself either headache, time, or money. So in today's video, I am going to share with you some of the things I will try to avoid and possibly never do again on a cruise ship. But just before we begin though, I am asking you kindly to become a supporter of the channel by clicking that subscribe button below, as my goal will be to continue bringing you the valuable tips, tricks, and advice you will need for a successful vacation. So please don't hesitate to subscribe if you want to keep seeing new videos like this weekly. Alright, let's continue. Now, one of the major things I want to say I will try to avoid and never do again on a cruise may come off as very controversial to some of you, and may even have you wondering why I would say that. But the truth is that it is definitely not worth it. And what I'm talking about is getting off the ship in every cruise port stop. There's so many things I could list why this could totally be a bad idea, especially for most cruise travelers. And while cruise traveling is still one of the most unique ways to travel, vacation, and see the world, I'm afraid there are still some things you will need to be aware of. And since nobody else will tell it to you, then here's my honest opinion coming from both a crew member and passenger perspective. Most cruise ports have only a limited time schedule, and if you can't keep up with this time schedule by the cruise ship, just know that sadly you will be left behind, only for you to try and sort yourself out, to either try and get back on board the ship if your trip hasn't ended, or for you to try and find your way back home and hope that the cruise line will be able to send all your belongings back to you without any frustration. And trust me when I tell you this, missing the cruise ship at a cruise port will only bring a lot more frustration, and not only the fact of missing the cruise ship either. When you go out to the cruise port, some of the main attractions you want to see and participate in will sometimes be so far away that it doesn't even make sense for you to set foot off the cruise ship anymore, as these things can be set up in a way where even if you wanted to avoid booking shore excursions, then you will have no choice but to do so. But the thing is, if you really want to have that ease of mind to go to the attraction and make it back to the ship on time without any delays being a fault of your own, then the wisest move you could possibly make is booking your shore excursion with the cruise. I also want to talk about the safety issues when it comes to some of these cruise ports as well. Because not only that some of these cruise ports can be really unsafe, but you could fall right into the hands of tourist traps, built mainly to rip you off without you even recognizing. And these are some of the things you have to pay attention to, especially every time when you go out to a cruise port that you have no familiarity with or have some level of skepticism about. The major thing to understand is that the cruise ship or the cruise lines do not have any control of what happens shoreside and can only hope for the best experience for their passengers when they get off the ship. So my best advice is to try and stay within a reasonable distance of the ship or stay within the touristy areas of the cruise port. Try not to stray away from these areas because going too far away can be disastrous to you if you don't have all the necessary things set up in place to ensure both your safety and to ensure that you will be able to make it back to the ship on time. The next thing you should avoid doing on a cruise is taking those frequent trips to the casino. Based on what I've seen, it will only be a big setup for you to lose your money because, as we know it, the house always wins. And even if it's not about the money, what I generally see with most guests is that they spend so much time in the casino that they miss out on all the other offerings on board the ship. I would generally see guests at the casino during show times, dinner time, and for any other special events and occasions. There are guests who will opt into eating at the buffet every night and skip the dining options just to be able to rush down to the casino. I mean, if you as a guest could find a way to balance exploring the ship, having fun and participate in what the ship has to fully offer, including the casino, in a more healthy way, then you can totally do so because I know it is possible. But going to the casino too early will see you being there for hours and hours to the point you miss out on either dinner reservations, events, and so on. As a crew member, I am only happy when guests can enjoy themselves on a cruise ship than to just have that one perspective of the experience they can have on board. The casino is one venue that can suck people in for hours and hours with no awareness until before you know it, it is time for you to disembark a cruise ship. So this is one of the things I avoid and suggest you avoid on a cruise ship until you can find a way to balance your time spent on board. Now, another thing I found that can be really annoying when you go on a cruise is having a room booked very far away from the elevator. And I get it. Some of you may have been following bad advice from maybe other content creators and influencers about where you are supposed to book a cruise cabin, and a lot of them will mention not to book your rooms near an elevator due to the foot traffic, noise, and whatever else reason they could find. But I'm here to tell you right now that the better rooms are generally the ones closest to the elevator, and here's why I say this. Because some of these massive ships that you go on for vacations are really huge, and the rooms can be far walking distance away from any nearby elevator. And not only that, elevators can be your fastest mode of transportation from one deck to another on a cruise ship. And one major thing I have recognized is that a lot of times you can be out and about the cruise ship and you forget something in your room, or you need to rest something down or bring it back to your cabin. And because your room is so far away to get to, especially if it's not near an elevator, you choose to leave your belongings all over the ship just to avoid having to go back to your room. And many times this is how passengers can lose their belongings. And let me tell you that setting down your stuff just so you don't have that much to carry around and leaving it somewhere else isn't always the best option. As crew members, we are not always watching your stuff because we've got our own duties to do, and many times guests will come up to us saying, "Hey, I left my camera here and I came back and I can't find it." In that scenario, our only answer we can give, if we have no clue where your item is for you to check with the lost and found team at the guest services desk. And this is where you can find that you could have avoided the unnecessary time that you could have spent just rushing down to your room to place the item down. And this can all be because you opted not to have a room near an elevator. This may not be the only reason though, but it is one of the mostly frequently mentioned ones. And I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. Another thing I would try my best to avoid doing, and I believe you should do the same, and that is waiting until the last minute to book any specialty dining options on board, seating arrangements, shore excursions, or reserving any spa treatments. These are some of the amenities available that really is there to build up your trip for a better experience on board. And it can feel a bit disappointing to know that these things can be overbooked for the entire duration of your trip on board. So by my understanding, it is highly recommended as soon as you possibly can to start making the possible arrangements for these amenities. Plan ahead and decide what it is you want to do on board as quickly as you can. I would also suggest that you start to inquire about these amenities and start booking them right away. Just know that on cruise ships there are hundreds of other passengers as well who will be there on board with you, and not every venue can accommodate for this many passengers, especially the best rated and popular venues on board. That's why there's a booking limit for certain amenities, and these booking limits can be completely filled right through the entire duration of your cruise, meaning you could be missing out on enjoying these things just because you left it a little too late. So don't let this be you and start booking everything as soon as you possibly can. Even if you change your mind later in the cruise, you can always go back and cancel what you don't need. But when you're late, there's no options for you to participate or to find any spots available due to how fast these venues booking can fill up quickly. So it's better to be prepared than to miss out. Another thing I would avoid doing for my next cruise, and this one is a bonus advice for you guys, so make sure you pay close attention to this one, as this one is probably one of the most crucial things you must take note of once you set foot on board. It isn't quite obvious at first, but once you know about it, it will absolutely make a huge world of difference for your trip. And what I'm talking about is to always check your daily heralds and programs. Every day on your cruise, there should be some newly printed daily programs for everything that is happening around the ship. Once you get your hands on one of these daily programs, it makes planning your time on board much more better, simpler, and easier, as you can know what is happening in advance for the whole entire day. And not only that, you can pick and choose all the things you want to do on board simply by checking the daily programs and heralds. I know some heralds and daily programs are super packed with activities, and you can be sometimes very much spoiled for choice. But it's better to know in advance what are the activities on board for that day, so you can be better prepared on what you want to spend your time on doing. Going on a cruise, you have to try and maximize the way you spend your time on board for you to get the most enjoyment as you possibly can. And a daily program can help you big time to accomplish this. So try your best next time you go on a cruise to avoid the mistake of not checking the daily heralds and programs on board. There could be so many other list of reasons why you need to check the daily heralds and programs, but just keep in the back of your head that knowing everything that is happening on board across the ship is like having a superpower in itself. So make sure to follow my simple advice to always grab yourself a copy of the daily programs. If you've enjoyed the information from this video, I am now asking you to leave a like and comment below anything you would like to add to this list. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Also, watch my next video that you may see here on the screen. It's Onik, your cruise employee, and I'm out.